Disney is most well known for their heroes and princesses, but against every force of good, there must be evil. Now, we've already given our countdown for the most evil Disney villains, but what about their right hands of wickedness? Heroes have their sidekicks, but so do the bad guys, and we really want to know which ones are the most evil. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Disney Villain Sidekicks Evil to Most Evil.
Looking good, nice dress.
As usual, we want to state the rules for these sidekicks before getting into the ranking. They must be featured in an animated film, and while they can be shown in a sequel, they cannot be introduced in a sequel. We're also gonna throw in some characters who may rise above the status of mere sidekick, but were enough aid to their villain boss that we had to include them. Now, let's get into it. For this list, we'll be starting with the least evil and working our way down into the deepest of Disney darkness towards the most evil. For our least evil villain sidekick, we have to place Mike Goob Yagubian, the troublemaker for the Robinson family.
Ho, ho, ho! Let's get that boy!
We have to rank him as the least evil because for the majority of the film, he had no idea he was being manipulated. He let his need for revenge against a former roommate blind him to the truth.
Let hate be your ally.
He may have been creepy and obsessed, but we even see through flashbacks that his attempts to destroy the Robinsons before he teamed up with Doris were pretty harmless. Throwing eggs and TPing the property wasn't a considerate thing to do, but he really thought it would devastate the man he'd grown to hate.
Robinson! You stink!
He quickly abandoned the idea of payback when he saw the future Doris wanted, and we're glad that things worked out for him in the end. Second to least evil, we're gonna have to give to Kronk.
You're sort of confusing me, so, be gone.
The only thing that makes him rank higher than Goob is that Kronk is a slightly more active player in the demise of the hero. He doesn't exactly mean to give Yzma the ideas he does, but he goes along with it.
Feel the power.
Oh, I could feel it.
He attempts to poison Kuzco on Yzma's order, and even makes an effort to get rid of the body. He is a friendly guy who lends a helping hand to nearly everyone he meets, but it's a trait that backfires on him a lot.
Are you talking to that squirrel?
I was a junior chipmunk.
He goes along with the dastardly deeds, but it doesn't change the fact that he was also quick to go against Yzma when she pushed him too far. So we can say that he is a pretty redeemable guy.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Next, we have a bit of a weird one, but we're gonna mention the Huntsman from Snow White. No, he wasn't in the film long, but he was the one sent by the Queen to kill Snow White.
But your majesty, the little princess.
We feel that it's worth noting that the Queen was quick to call on him for the task, implying that he may have done shady stuff for her in the past. She didn't even consider that he might go against her, tricking her with a pig's heart.
The heart of a pig. And I've been tricked.
She just took his word on it and delighted in the grotesque trophy. His past actions are up for debate, but we do know he almost went through with it, and that shows determination to be loyal to the Queen. But he also showed that there must be some good in him if he couldn't bring himself to carry out the task.
Run! Run away! Hide! In the woods, anywhere!
Next up, we're going to throw in Smee.
Good morning, shipmate. And what's good about it?
He's not the first mate or any sort of second in command on the Jolly Roger, but he does a lot for Hook, being the captain's ear when Hook complains or boasts.
Get up, you idiots!
I see.
Smee is willing to do just about any task, from helping to hunt down children to delighting over them being drowned, which is pretty dark. He's put up with a lot and doesn't really try to betray Hook. He praises the captain with songs, shares jokes, and when the crew has a complaint, they're typically seen telling Smee about it so he can relay it to Hook.
Untitled Chapter, we want...
The only reason we place him low is that when it seemed Hook was going to be defeated for good, Smee is shown gathering all he can and tossing it in a boat to bail out. But maybe it's just cowardice though. Next, we're going to place Mr. Snoops from The Rescuers. We could have reserved this spot for the Crocs, Brutus and Nero, but Snoops had more interaction with Penny and more of an awareness of Medusa's plan.
Now you behave or I'll let Nero and Brutus have your old teddy bear.
He had no issue using Penny to get the diamond, but showed some sympathy. He expressed he felt remorse having her in a dangerous situation and commented on the rising tide. When Medusa tried to claim the diamond alone, he fought her for it, more influenced by greed than loyalty.
But half of it is mine, you double-crossing crook.
Lawrence is next. Spiteful at being stepped on by everyone for everything, he's easily persuaded by Dr. Facilier.
How did I ever get tangled up in all this voodoo madness?
He turned against Naveen the first chance he could, and afterwards went along with Dr. Facilier's plan to marry into a wealthy family.
And we'll be splitting that juicy LaBeouf fortune right down the middle.
He's not the most malicious for a large majority of the film, but he did allow Naveen to be trapped after his transformation, stole his identity, and went along with the plan knowing it would kill an innocent man, who only wanted his daughter's happiness.
Lawrence, why are you doing this? It's payback.
Next is Maleficent's bird, Diablo.
Go, and do not fail me.
Her eyes in the sky, he's the one that managed to actually find Aurora and the fairy's hideout in the forest. He doesn't have any dialogue, but he is shown to take pleasure in others cowering in fear of his master. Had he not been turned into stone, he would have been able to assist Maleficent further. Bad bird.
You, tell those fools to... No.
Pain and Panic are up next.
Reporting for duty!
They aren't the most competent sidekicks, to say the least, but they do manage to deal a lot of damage. They had no issue kidnapping Hercules and making him mortal so as to kill him, which is, really dark considering Hercules was a baby.
Let's just kill the kid and get it over with.
They also appear to enjoy harassing Meg and reminding her of her promise to Hades, and succeed in luring Hercules to various deadly situations. It seemed they took a lot of joy in putting the gods of Olympus in chains, and only denounced their evil ways when in a confrontation they felt they couldn't handle, such as Pegasus beating them like a tetherball. It's worth noting that while they fear and kind of respect Hades, they are quick to let him suffer, leaving him in the River of Styx.
He's not gonna be happy when he gets out of there!
But the main reason they don't rank any worse is because Pain and Panic totally fear Hades and are in a situation in which they have no real option to not carry out his evil wishes. Moving on to the Eels from The Little Mermaid, Flotsam and Jetsam. It's no surprise that their names translate to sea debris, as their personalities are total garbage. Ursula praises them and is typically seen being affectionate with them, and for good reason. They carry out every task and fill in the role of creepy sidekick perfectly. They're actually pretty effective sidekicks who carry out their orders very well, unlike so many other incompetent sidekicks on this list.
Ursula has great powers.
When sent to retrieve Ariel, they don't simply grab her and force her to come with them, as we see them capable of doing towards the end. Instead, they allow her to come to the choice herself and let Ariel be the one to dig herself into trouble.
This way.
They're clearly cunning and manipulative. They were clever with the way they persuaded her, and unlike many on this list, they never turn on Ursula, with the Sea Witch even mourning losing them.
My poor little poopsies.
That said, the fact that they are so loyal to such an evil monster is what makes them so morally awful. This next listing is likely to cause some conflict, but we're gonna put the stepsisters Anastasia and Drusella from Cinderella next. There are going to be some people that will argue they are not sidekicks, but we have to disagree. These girls are manipulated by their stepmother to turn on Cinderella and bully her whenever they get the chance. Since they're raised to be spoiled brats, it doesn't take much for them to lash out and even tear Cinderella's outfits to shreds, attacking the poor girl.
Girls. That's quite enough.
It was nice to see more time given to Anastasia in the sequels, where she leaves the cruel influence of her mother and listens to Cinderella's advice, but for the majority of the time, we see the two as simply accepting whatever they're told and believe the only good they can do for the family is marrying into nobility.
A perfect appearance is the only way to attract a proper gentleman.
Moving on to another duo, we have Horus and Jasper. First of all, anyone who is willing to murder cute puppies for a quick payday deserves to be imprisoned, and we are glad that they got caught. Even before being hired by Cruella de Vil, they lived a life of crime. Their loyalty is to the almighty dollar, which is evident in their interactions with the code-obsessed woman.
I don't care how you kill the little beast, but do it! And do it now!
Their time on screen is spent either complaining about when they'll be paid, yelling at the puppies, or watching television. They do go to extreme measures to find the puppies once they escape and take a fire poker to the parents. Jasper even torments the poor nanny when they break into the house, giddy as she fights her way out of the room.
She's a regular little tartar, ain't she, Horace?
They're malicious and greedy to their very core. We're gonna put Roscoe and Desato next.
I like cats. I like to eat them.
The Rottweilers in Oliver and Company. They were raised to be vicious, responding to only one master. Now, had these two been given loving homes in their youth and treated as more than weapons, they could have been great guys. But instead, they bullied our main heroes, helped kidnap a little girl, and finally met a brutal end on the subway tracks. They were the ultimate intimidation for our protagonists. Finally, we get to Iago, the sidekick who made an entire generation wary of any nearby parrots. He acted more like a companion than a simple sidekick.
What are we gonna do? We got a big problem here, a big...
Where many on this list are given a job or task, and that's their only reason for being on screen, Iago is more commentary. Sure, he finds out information for Jafar and uses his ability to mimic voices to trick others, but he isn't told to do the dirty work for Jafar.
Jasmine, where are you?
Out in the menagerie, hurry!
Instead, those tasks are given to the royal guard or to random peasants or bandits the sorcerer comes across. He's seen egging Jafar on the entire film, insisting on getting rid of Jasmine and the Sultan.
I love the way your foul little mind works.
And if you doubt him being a sidekick at all, we have to point out the matching Sultan hat he got from Jafar. Iago is just a very angry bird who seems to hate so many people and enjoys watching the world burn around him. We've reached the bronze medal of evil, and here we have LeFou, Gaston's right-hand man.
You're the greatest hunter in the whole world!
I know.
He's not a charming villain or a lovable sidekick, but he does have a lot of influence over people. Gaston is beloved by the town for his strength and his ability to hunt. LeFou, on the other hand, gets by with his ability to manipulate others and turn a situation in his favor. Even when Maurice and Belle try reasoning with the town, LeFou is quick to step in and twist the events.
He was raving like a lunatic. We all heard him, didn't we?
He easily convinces the town that Maurice is crazy and got everyone to show up for an ambush wedding by telling them Belle and Gaston were going to be happily wed. After Gaston is humiliated, he brings the patrons of the tavern together in song, quickly washing away the fact that Belle rejected Gaston for legitimate reasons. In many ways, Gaston is pretty dumb, and all of his ideas throughout the story seem to get traced back to LeFou. It's a good thing LeFou was only a sidekick. Could you imagine the influence he would have as a main villain? Now, the silver medal for most evil Disney villain sidekick goes to Lucifer. We realize we already covered Cinderella once on this list, but come on. We can't have a list without this fiendish feline. Lucifer was cunning, vindictive, and spent his days doing whatever he liked, which typically revolves around making himself feel superior. He shows no sympathy towards anyone. He gets Bruno in trouble, hunts the mice, and makes countless messes for Cinderella to clean up.
I'm just going to have to teach you a lesson.
He makes sure to be present whenever Cinderella is being scolded by the stepmother and is more than willing to aid in her suffering. In the first film, he knowingly keeps the key away so she can stay locked up. In the sequel, when he's given a human form, he leads her away to be killed. Cinderella was right, he is a bad kitty. So, who reigns supreme as the most wicked and vile sidekick? Well, that honor of first prize goes to the hyenas from The Lion King: Shenzi, Benzai, and Ed.
What is it? Hey, did we order this dinner to go?
The whole clan of hyenas is a force without a doubt. Scar knew what he was doing when he appealed to them to aid his cause, saying they could hunt and eat their fill under his reign. Now, we can give Scar some credit since he did keep his promise, kind of, even if it did destroy the land. But the hyenas proved to be more loyal to one another than they were to him. If we had to pick out a ringleader, we would say that Shenzi was the one calling the shots. In the film, we see the main trio overhear Scar pleading with Simba, claiming it was the hyenas themselves who had the idea to kill Mufasa and overthrow the land.
It is the hyenas who are the real enemy.
At this, they turn on Scar and rally the rest of the clan. Shenzi obviously had a lot of power among her clan for them to believe her and accompany her on the task. That makes the lot of them a ruthless force of evil that is to be feared. Even when you factor in that hyenas have to eat, the world of the Lion King is reflective of society and kingdoms, and the hyenas are really just a disloyal group with no desire to keep their alliances. The fact that Mufasa banished them from the Pride Lands says a lot, and in the end, they're really just in it for themselves. But what do you think? Which Disney villain's sidekick is the most evil in your opinion? Be sure to hit that notification bell so you can binge the rest of our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.